Canada, the U.S., two countries, totally different politics, but we share a border, a media space, and a lot of the same problems. I'm Michael J., and this is Borderline Politics, where we cut through the cliches and compare real policy, culture, and power on both sides of the 40. This is The Opinion, and I'm Michael J. Why Canada can't make a trade deal with Trump. Executive orders, fiscal blindness, and micromanagement. Let's go to the main screen. Z-main is screen. Yikes. Wrong button. There we go. That's the right button. So, Trump's 7 months into his term, and while he's pushed through a new mega bill on U.S. soil, Canada finds itself frozen at the negotiating table. And why do I say that? Because you can't do business with someone who doesn't read the balance sheet and literally micromanages diplomacy with executive orders. And with those executive orders, they're based on a national emergency. Talk about abuse of power. So let's break it down. So, trade deals aren't hastily penned executive orders. They're long-winded, complex give and takes. So, Canada has seen it before: uncertainty, changes, midstream economic whiplash. That won't earn trust, not inked. That won't earn any trust, nor an inked agreement that benefits either party. There's no continuity to the administration in the United States on a regular basis prior to this second term of Trump. And what is more compelling to provide contrast, 7 months into this second term of Trump, you're seeing a different beast that is not working for the American people, not working as a steward of the economic framework for the global economy, and this is the tragedy. So let's look at some of the interesting factors at play. Now, as I've brought up to you right here, the big beautiful bill, the biggest fiscal elephant in the room, Trump's one big beautiful bill. A bipartisan CBO report estimates it will raise deficits by $4.1 trillion and push debt, U.S. debt, to 127% of gross domestic product, 127% of GDP within a decade. So that's not building economic strength for anybody. It's just building risk for everybody. So let's take a look at this here. I got to hit the right keyboard, right key. Okay. Here we have the bulwark. And this is the tragedy and the travesty at what's at play.
Hey everybody, Tim Miller from the Bulwark.
Whoops. Yikes. Sorry about that. The tragedy and the travesty here. And just take a look at the headline. Trump can't tell a budget deficit from the trade deficit. And this is the real issue. And this I've been trying to explain to people back in 2016, 2017, but here we are again in 2025. The guy is illiterate. He is a functioning illiterate based on admissions on the record stated by Jeffrey Epstein. Who's Jeffrey Epstein? Well, you're going to look at it, I'm going to put an interesting twist on Jeffrey Epstein. The Russian propaganda machine, which probably created QAnon, Pizzagate, yeah, you hear me right, QAnon, Pizzagate, created by the Russian hoax, GRU, created by the Russians, based on a story of Epstein and Trump, but twisted and changed the characters of the real plot into the Democrats and the Clintons. It doesn't get any better than that, and that's where we're at. But here's the fact. Now you don't hear anything about QAnon. The Russian hoax is still a hoax. And you still see Trump bootlicking his good buddy Putin and operating America in a manner similar to the way Putin operates Russia. You see the trend, you see the transition on a weekly basis, daily basis, monthly basis. 7 months in, it should be obvious to you at this juncture. So the guy can't tell a trade deficit from a budget deficit. Now, I'm going to put the links, you can see the links, and you can look for yourself. Now, here's another thing. This is the other factor, and this is where the divide and conquer comes into play, is these executive orders. Now, this one is a culture war division. Another divide and conquer tactic, but it's based on culture wars. Now, listen to what Mr. Mockler has to say here.
Donald Trump does not even know the executive orders that he's signing, and the implications of this are terrifying. I want to show you this clip that came out just yesterday of Donald Trump signing an awful executive order saying you're not allowed to burn American flags, which, listen, I would never burn an American flag. There are better ways to protest, in my opinion, but that is a First Amendment right that Americans have. You should be able to burn the American flag because that is a way to express yourself and to protest. There is nothing illegal about that, and the Supreme Court said as much in the 90s. But while signing this executive order, Donald Trump makes a declarative statement about it, saying, in this executive order, you get 1 year in jail if you burn an American flag. Then he asks his, Deputy Chief of Staff, Will Scharf, to explain the executive order further, and Will Scharf explains it and lies about it. But when you actually read the executive order that was signed, it's not at all what Trump said. It's barely what Will Scharf said, meaning that Trump does not know and does not read his own executive orders. I mean, Trump can't read. He literally cannot read, so that's a given. But Trump doesn't even know what he's signing. When he's signing these executive orders, he thinks they say something differently. So there are 3 main points that I want to make and then prove throughout this video. Number 1, Donald Trump doesn't know what the contents of the executive orders that he signs. Secondly, he is therefore being used as a vessel for the Heritage Foundation so they can achieve their Project 2025 goals. They found a leader who can unite the base for some reason. Now they're using him as a vessel to erode the Constitution. And third, that his signature, they're using his signature to chip away at core constitutional protections, starting with the First Amendment. So let's start with the main example, and let's run you through all 3. In this clip that I'm about to play, Donald Trump and the people around him are making declarative claims about what this executive order contains. If this executive order contained what they said, it would be awful. But it's much, much worse because Trump doesn't know what he's signing. Take a look.
I'll leave a link in the show notes so you can check the rest of this video out as well. We're not going to go further into this. But understand the Canadian businesses want stable partners. When your partner is spiraling into debt like that with that one big beautiful bill, and then they're too volatile for long-term trade, we got an issue. And if you expect, and this is where Pierre Poilievre and Andrew Scheer have really got to get their act together because they claim they've turned a corner and they're going to help Canada in dealing with things. Well, They're not. They're just going back to their old way of dealing with matters. And that's what's really tragic. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to spotlight here right now is, here's the core issue. Trump often treats policy like a spotlight. Hey, it's a TV show, pointing at what he wants to change. Again, pointing at what he wants to change. Not understanding the downstream effect, because the man does not understand cause and effect. And it's really as simple as that. You're dealing with an illiterate, and that's one of the byproducts of an illiterate. So tariffs go up, trade volumes get disrupted, immigration changes, hits supply chains. So wrap your head around that. Immigration changes, hits supply change. That creates ripple effects, and effects ripple far beyond the signing with the pen and the showcasing. Here's another Sharpie. Passing another Sharpie. Look what I've done. Look what I've done. He's got no understanding of what he's done. What he's really done is similar to building a house on quicksand. Building a house on quicksand. Think that's great? Not very smart. You're not seeing the effects of everything yet. Only 7 months in. A lot of these effects from the tariffs are just starting to get traction, and you won't see it for another few months. So Canada needs predictability. We can't rely on someone governed by tweets, executive directions, executive directives, and budget bombs. Canada and the rest of the world needs diplomacy that builds trust, not improvisation masquerading as policy. If we can trust that the person across the table understands money and how money works, momentum or markets, and the cause and effect. If a guy doesn't understand any of this stuff, why would Canada or the rest of the world even bargain at all, unless it's needed to pass time to keep the guy busy so that he doesn't get more impulsive and create more pain and suffering. And I'm going to add to that, unnecessary pain and suffering. You can have a harmonious, progressive, financially uplifting situation for all, or you can have pain and suffering. He chose pain and suffering, going back to an era of using a big club and just bashing people over the head in order to get his way, versus consensus building and creating something that's harmonious, is agreed to by all parties, and all parties are working together for a single goal to help society, help uplift society. No need for pain and suffering. Why do you go to the way of pain and suffering? Roman Empire fell. British Empire fell. And the American Empire is falling apart. Trump is just speeding it up. But they could do it a different way and be good stewards of the global world order, but no, we're not seeing that. And that's why this is so hard for Canada to do a trade deal. You can't do a trade deal with a guy that has no idea what he's doing, that wants to just deal with Russia, help Russia, so that they can control the world. And it's really just as simple as that. And there's another video I'd like you to see. This is Heather Cox Richardson, a brittle administration inventing a crime crisis. You got troops in Washington, D.C. He wants to put them in Chicago and New York. He's even talking about being a dictator because people have accused him of being a dictator. So Canada needs diplomacy that builds trust. And the world too, as well, needs diplomacy that builds trust. Not improvisation masquerading as policy. If we can't trust the person across the table, that person across the table understands money, momentum, or markets, why bargain at all? So this is the opinion with Michael J., telling the North American story clearly, and the global story very clearly. Without the noise, subscribe and talk real solutions, not reckless impulses, providing you find some value here, of course. So love and peace to everybody. Once again, talk to you soon. Take care. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.